John Wayne Gacy, or as some would call him, the Killer Clown. Between 1972 and 1978, he murdered 33 young men. However, police believe he has killed more than that. Standing at 5'9" and weighing 230 pounds, it's obvious that he was not in the best shape. He would often have to trick his victims with something he called the handcuff trick. The unsuspecting victim would be lured back to Gacy's home with the promise of either alcohol or drugs. He would bring out a pair of handcuffs, claiming there was a trick to unlock them. Once his intended victim put on the cuffs, it was too late. Gacy would then demonstrate something he called the rope trick.
Okay, here. What I told him, I said, here, all you do is you wrap it around, you put one knot in it. And I said, then you put a second knot in it. Okay? I said, then you take a stick and stick it in here, and you just turn this. And I said, it causes a tourniquet. I said, that's the only knot I ever learned.
Precisely the kind of knot found on the ropes wrapped around the necks of the victims found under the house on Summerdale.
Richard Ramirez, aka the Nightstalker. 13 counts of murder, 5 counts of attempted murder, 11 counts of sexual assault, and 14 counts of burglary. From 1984 to 1985, the Nightstalker terrified everyone in the LA and San Francisco area. Ramirez was 6'1" and weighed about 180 pounds. What separated Ramirez from other serial killers was that he had no set pattern. He killed at random and used many different weapons. He wasn't exactly muscular, but Ramirez spent a lot of time with his cousin when he was younger. His cousin Miguel was in the Vietnam War and taught Ramirez quite a few things that he learned while being in the military. Ramirez would usually get high on cocaine or LSD before breaking into homes. It didn't matter who you were, man or woman, young or old, the Nightstalker had no preference. So for this scenario to play out, 2 changes will have to take place. Obviously, the time frame of the crimes they committed don't match. They're off by 6 years. To make it easier, let's just say that Gacy was never caught in 1978. And Ramirez? Instead of being beaten and captured by a group of people while he was trying to steal a car in 1985, thus ending his murder spree, let's say he was able to steal the car, unnoticed, and escape. So, what if? In the year 1985, Richard Ramirez, the Nightstalker, was on the road, leaving California. He noticed that the newspaper had a sketch of his likeness on the front page, so he decided it was time to get lost. But where to go? He didn't care just as long as it was far from here. After a few days, Ramirez found himself in Chicago, Illinois. Out of cash and out of drugs, he stops at a store to hopefully steal something to eat. While there, he overhears a man asking someone if they knew of any men who would be interested to work for his contracting company. That man is John Wayne Gacy. You see, Gacy found a few of his victims this way. Now, I could have Ramirez ask Gacy about the job. He is hurting for cash after all. However, that's not his style. Also, Gacy had a preference for a certain type, and Ramirez definitely didn't fit in that category. It's more likely that Ramirez would try to break into his place at night. Gacy looks kind of like an easy target, and so Ramirez would probably follow him and find out where he lived. Then he would just wait for the sun to go down. Since Ramirez was on the run, chances are he didn't have a weapon. So he goes to the trunk of the car that he stole and takes the tire iron. Then he sneaks to the back of Gacy's home. He was good at sneaking quietly. This is where many different things could happen, depending on the current situation. 1. Ramirez breaks in, only to find Gacy is in the middle of torturing or killing someone. I did a poll on Twitter to see what others think would have happened. And here are the results. Most believe that Ramirez would have killed Gacy. That does seem like the obvious choice. Thing is, Ramirez was a coward who attacked from behind. When it comes to being face to face, there's a good chance he would have run away and looked for an easier target. 2. Ramirez breaks in and Gacy is sound asleep. It's safe to say how that would turn out. 3. Gacy is sound asleep, but Ramirez stumbles upon one of Gacy's victims. If the victim was dead, I think Ramirez would probably explore the house. If he happened to find Gacy still sleeping, well, you know what would happen. But if the victim was still alive, he would probably assume Ramirez was there to help, in all his excitement start making noise. That would definitely wake up Gacy. Now we have Ramirez, who would be standing there obviously confused, and Gacy storming in the room to shut his unfortunate house guest up. If Ramirez decides to not run, well, taking their methods and styles into consideration, Gacy would want things done quietly, which is why he would always use trickery and then gag and asphyxiate his victims. Ramirez, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. Irrational and impulsive, he wouldn't care about the noise. I think that Ramirez would have rushed at Gacy while swinging the tire iron. I'm positive Gacy wouldn't stand a chance. I also think that Ramirez would have killed the guy Gacy was going to kill. No witnesses. If Ramirez broke into Gacy's home and Gacy was still awake, maybe even saw Ramirez coming in through the window, the outcome would have been the same. Even though Gacy outweighed Ramirez by 50 pounds, Ramirez had some military training taught by his cousin Miguel. Gacy wouldn't have bothered to call the police, as he has over 30 bodies buried under his house and in his yard. That's the kind of attention he would want to avoid. The only way I could see Gacy getting the upper hand would be if he was able to get Ramirez by surprise. But that wouldn't happen in this case, because Gacy had no idea that Ramirez was going to break into his home. I believe that the Nightstalker, Richard Ramirez, would win 9 times out of 10. What do you think? If you would change anything, what would it be? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. See you on the next episode of What If?